This is an open meeting of the Berlin Historical Commission. It is now 10:15. We are being recorded, and we are all present. Ellie.
Here.
And Barry.
Here.
And Janet.
Here.
And Lucy.
Here.
And June. Okay. We're going to approve our minutes for July 12 and July 31. So is everyone okay with our July 12th minutes?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so motion to approve.
I have take a look at CPA Article 9. It says $96. There's a comma. Is that?
Oh,
Is that
should be
correct?
96,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
9,600?
96,000.
Oh, that's even better.
Extra
Yeah.
zero.
So we can
Yep,
just
I will fix that and print out a copy that's got it on it for the minute book.
Okay. So the motion to approve minutes with one
Motion made to
amendment.
approve.
Do we have a
With-
second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. And Lucy's minutes for July 31. Any questions? Motion to approve.
I would suggest in the meeting place that we take out the word offices.
I did. I just didn't print
Yeah.
it again, Barry.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll say that change was already made. It says town hall and take out the word offices. Because it confuses town hall and town offices.
Yeah, if you don't put the 1870,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, even offices isn't.
It does have 12 ordered out, but that doesn't matter. I did take it out, Barry.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, so motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Or should I do my own?
Second.
And
There
I
you go.
forgot to ask, will you take minutes, Lucy?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved, July 31 minutes. Okay, so we can go on to the Bullard House. We do have some bills to pay, but maybe Lucy has some information that she wants to share first, or?
With the Bullard House, well, I'll talk about Paul's bill. Paul, do you have that?
Yep.
Paul did provide the as-built, which is what you were looking for, Barry,
Yeah,
and it's
I
pretty
heard
well.
that. I saw that there was, okay.
Yeah, there's two as-bills. There's the Ross, which just defines the area, but this defines the actual distance, the measurements of the septic to different points.
Okay.
So that's what we need.
Can I ask?
So these are the 8, so he's got a little key here.
Well, it's a help.
Yeah.
The thing I'm looking for is that how far the tank goes from the caps
Back to the current retaining
in
wall.
relation to where the hill is behind it, where we need to put a wall in. But I think we can maybe dummy that up from the.
As to say, if we've got the measurement from the house to the caps,
And
we
we
can
have
go
the-
from the caps to the back.
Yeah.
And we have the measurement of the tank, because those are in my notes.
Yeah.
And the measurements of the tank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are in the notes.
Yeah.
It may be that Austin Design, if that's going forward, she hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Yeah,
It may be that they will have to.
yeah. But this is helpful.
Yeah.
You could just take some stakes and put in the 4 corners and
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is probably information that we should pass on to the town hall committee.
Yeah.
May I ask a very naive question?
Not a naive.
Explain as built.
As-built is what happens, you get your first plans, but then as-built is what
Okay.
they've actually done.
Good, thank you. I'm an amateur.
But let me show you.
Okay,
that.
our bill from Paul Wheeler is for $94.50. Machinery, materials, and labor to install the new septic tank at the Bullard House, 4 Woodward Ave, Berlin. And
This is what's proposed.
the
This is
dates
what
go
actually-
from the
Yes.
9th of July through the 2nd of August,
Yeah.
when he
He removed his machine.
Well, also he graded it.
I was gonna say, and took away all of the
Cleared it all
And
up.
bales
Yeah.
also. I really haven't gone down there to look at the, right up front with the bales, but,
I knew he was getting the bales because I was at the farm when he came to pick them up.
oh,
And
okay.
he said, "Oh, I'm doing it for the bullet house. It's your project." It's like, "Whoa, okay, yay!"
Hopefully, they will help to
Yeah,
stem the
retard
Keep
the
things,
water.
yeah.
racing waters that come down the
Yeah.
hill.
We haven't had any lately, so we'll
No.
have to see if we have them just today, tomorrow.
What do you use? Is it straw? Is it?
It's hay.
It's
It's
hay.
hay
Yeah,
bale.
I should know that. I'm a farm girl, but I wasn't sure what you use.
The construction hay, not the feed
Yeah,
hay.
yeah, the stuff we don't want.
At some point, we'll probably have to seed it, won't we? Reseed that area?
Oh, yeah. I guess.
Yeah, we wanna keep it down, that's right.
Yeah, we
don't
need
want
to,
it to go.
we need to. I wanna-
Do we have any funds left over to buy that, or to reseed it?
Sure.
That would be good.
So we need a motion to approve.
Are you, dear, Lucy, are you satisfied with the 9450 in relationship to the proposal and
They
what's
were-
come out?
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
original proposal was 9,500.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very satisfied
Move
with
to
that.
approve.
Second.
Okay, it's $94.50. Okay.
$9,450 to
Right.
Paul Wheeler for the procurement and installation of the septic tank.
Septic tank number 2.
Okay, all
And
those
that's,
in
and
favor?
that comes out of
CPA 22 ATM
CPA Article 22.
5/2/2022.
So we kept it under 10,000.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Okay,
Did we get a
unanimously
second on that?
approved. Yeah, Ellie, I think.
I seconded it.
Okay, you know what? I
Excuse me.
Here.
Okay,
See if that one works. I don't know.
thank you. Perfect. I think he's happy to be done with the job.
Yeah, Melissa, I got another one lined up, I'm sure. They
I'm sure he
seems
does.
to just roll along. That's nice.
I think we're all working on this.
Yes, we can. Come to think of it.
Okay, do you want to sign it? Take care of that.
Okay, we have another bill. We received in advance of this bill, the as-built and certification, the plan, the as-built plan and the certification by Dan Wolf.
And I put the certification in.
You have that too?
It's in my filing system.
Yeah, we should make a copy of that,
Yeah.
because I didn't.
I'll get a copy of this one too. I'll see if I'll get a copy of that.
Get mixed up here. Yeah, this we can make here.
Yeah.
This is Paul.
Do you have a clip for this?
I don't know, if it's not in the envelope. Oh, for that?
Yeah.
Like a paper clip.
Yeah, well, I need that to give to,
I was gonna put a paper clip on it for you.
oh,
We're gonna have to bend it a little bit.
okay, so these are copies of yours,
Yep,
all right.
that'll go.
Okay, so we have a bill from David E. Ross Associates, from Dan Wolf, for $916. And this is for him to inspect the tank, to prepare that as-built plan that we received at our last meeting. And the certification that we received with the plan. Does anybody?
Does that get filed, or does he file it?
He copied the Board of Health. That the above septic tank has been constructed within reasonably acceptable construction tolerances to the above design plan and the requirements of Title V, with the following exception: due to shallow depths to ledge, a 1,060-gallon tank with a 42-inch effective depth has been installed with Berlin Board of Health approval. It should be noted that not all phases of construction were inspected. So that's what we're paying for now, if we vote to do so.
And that comes out of the same CPA funding?
It does, yep. So
But that's the thing that's needed for the Board of Health to approve.
Well, actually,
The engineer's certification.
they need that and Paul's,
they have that,
Yeah.
and they have that, so they need both to approve it.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Move to approve the bill.
okay,
Second,
$916.
to Ross Associates.
From
Yeah.
Article 22.
Okay.
What does that leave us with?
Well, we've add together 9450 plus 916 and give me the total, and that should be subtracted from 75 something.
Okay, which should be in Barry's minutes, I think.
75.
Okay, yeah, minus.
So we've got 65, somewhere around 63 or 64,000 now. Maybe 64,
Okay,
should we be more exact here?
I can do the math later if you want.
9450
Right,
916
Yeah.
is 66, is 10,366 from 75,
699,
699. Is there any?
01.
01 33356 $65,333.01. So the septic, this is all septic related.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money.
It sure is.
And
Oh,
that's
we
the-
didn't have any choice, really.
That
No,
covers,
that's the trouble.
that covers all the expenses involved?
So
Not
far,
yet. There's
you
more.
never know.
Okay,
Well, there's more. There's the
That's right, there's the reimbursement, so
Yeah.
that would be another
35, 38.
535, 38. So that would be
Reimbursement of what?
the connections that.
What, that Al
that-
did, that we paid
that Al
last month.
did.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't pay it.
Well, it's
We're-
approved, so,
It's approved, yes.
yeah. So, well, roughly, yeah, it's 64.8, something like that. Okay, so we have it's unanimously, did everybody vote? Let's,
Not yet.
I don't think we voted.
We
did
didn't vote.
We
it.
didn't vote, okay, so, let's have a vote to approve, a vote.
Yes.
Everybody?
All those in favor say,
Yeah.
Aye.
Unanimously approved, oh, yeah.
right.
Nobody is disapproving, that's good. Okay, so we need to sign off on this. Unanimously approved. All right. So it's 64. It's less than 65. Okay. Okay. So, anything else about the Bullard House? Any questions or anything? Where are we with our,
But just say wonderful, something's kinda done.
yeah,
Yes. The next thing is, I'm gonna be talking to, Michael Gibbons about getting the
The roof.
roof.
I said the roof is in about a month.
Yeah.
That'd
So-
be good to get that fixed.
In order to
Certainly will.
get that, we need to get make sure that he's got his insurance and make sure that, what's the other thing he needs? I think that's it. We've got his estimate already, so we're good with that.
he's a sole proprietor.
He's a sole proprietor, so it will be under, we would not have to pay the prevailing wage. And I don't think it's gonna take that long. He said it would be done
No.
within a very short time.
No.
I'm always amazed how fast the roofers are.
Yes.
They
I
just
know.
zip along.
They do. So the next project is, this one's gonna be a little bit more, Paul is working on, for the, I'll just call it the bulkhead because it's,
Yeah,
he's working on the,
plan.
scope of work. I just gave him some, information that I'd found on, in the Dropbox about, I think it was T.F. Moran who had done some work and just had talked about all the different aspects of what needed to be done, so he's gonna be looking at that. And the interesting thing that I noticed in that is that he had mentioned using closed
Yes.
insulation, which is the closed cell insulation that we've been talking about. So that's what they had specified. When did they spec that? In 23 or 22? I can't remember. It's been a little while, but
TF Moran, all that is in here. You
Yeah.
can look it up.
yeah.
Um,
So they had specified that. They didn't, it was just kind of one of those little sentences that just popped out after I knew what it was.
Where did you see that?
In the proposal that he had given.
Okay.
So-
The actual proposal, the one that we paid $900 for?
I believe so.
Because that was, it might be worth looking at.
He encompassed a lot of things in that, the entrance and then cleaning it out, and then also all of the work around the foundation.
Was it a narrative? It wasn't a proposal, it was a narrative?
It-
Or,
There's this phase 1, phase 2.
Who
no,
was that
phase one,
from?
we've not
was
paid for
T.F.
phase
Moran.
2. Phase 1 we paid for, but what that paid for were those actual plans.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah,
don't remember that was noted on the plan,
It might have been
so,
I don't have that with me.
the question I've got about that is, in the place, I mean, our goal is to have it be a grade level thing, but in fact, the land, even at the level of the driveway next door, is actually a little above the cellar floor.
Yeah.
And how we keep water from going in that way, I don't know.
Oh, I was gonna bring that with me and I didn't. I believe that they have made plans for that. They've made provisions for
I
that.
would assume so, but
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what it is that,
If you want, I can,
what we do to keep that from happening, because
yeah.
it isn't really down low enough to be at grade level, so it would just shed the water.
Yeah,
Michael needs to give us a W-9.
okay.
Yeah. See, TF Moran, there's 2 certificates of liability insurance. One is for the town, and, well, they're both to the town. Specialty, okay. All right,
Those-
so I don't see on the $900 that we paid, that was for his visit. And there may have been an email associated with it. I could look that up, but that was we paid that bill in March of '23. and you were here, Lucy, then.
Mhm.
Then we paid phase one for the actual plans
Mhm.
So I think it might,
that his person put together. And I don't, it says, so it must be on the plan.
The scope of work, is that what?
I think, yeah, I would call it the scope of work. I think it said proposal on it, but not, it wasn't, like proposed plans, something like that. But, yeah, so it just popped out at me that, thought it was interesting.
Okay, we should have a look at that.
Mhm.
I'll find it and send it along to everybody.
Well, what I can do though, I don't know if you noticed, and on the minutes, I can scan things in and then give you the link to it. So, cause I put your information, the paperwork that you had given us on the CPA, I added that in there.
As an email?
It's in, no, it's a link,
The link to documents.
yeah.
And the document is the email.
These are the,
What
Those
was
are-
the date on that one? I'm just curious to see if I got it in the minutes for any of these.
that's what I'm trying to remember. I think it was the beginning of March.
I mean, this might be useful or it might not be,
Yeah.
depending on what people we talk about, but.
So I've started
Well-
putting that in there, if that's useful, so that'll be part of the minutes from now on.
Right, but this. Okay. I guess I don't follow you totally. What did you say, was linked?
What?
I mean, I see that, I see that.
I've actually linked to this site,
Yeah, the CPA site,
the
yeah,
CPA site, yeah,
okay.
so that we can get, I mean, if they take it down, then we can't get it again, but it's there. I thought it'd be interesting at least, cause I thought it was pretty
Okay.
good to
And
know.
I thought you were saying something specific about the proposals.
Oh,
Yeah, so, no. Okay, good. Good. So we have two things ahead of us, the roof and the bulkhead.
mhm, yeah.
And will that scope, do you think that scope of work will include
I'm gonna take this back. if you don't mind.
demolition of, yeah, make sure that I have a copy of the certification,
Yeah,
okay?
I'll get it I'll make copies of everything for you.
And it works today, so we should be able to make it here.
Oh, good.
When they do that, the oil tank's gonna have to be moved in order for them to work on that end of the
Yes.
solar. And so, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be taken out by that time, but it needs to be moved from its present place because it's gonna be right in their way in order to work on that wall.
Do we
Yeah.
need to drain any oil, or is it empty right
Yeah.
now?
I think it's empty.
Well,
I think it burned out to empty.
Yeah.
Now, there may be some little residual in it,
yeah.
but it should be burned out.
how do they determine, will the gauge tell us, or do we have to?
Well, the gauge will tell us that it's down to empty. It may not tell us how empty, but as far as I know, the furnace ran till it ran out of oil, so,
Yeah. Sludge, it could be sludge in there or something, but.
yeah.
So the scope of work needs to include, the removal of the oil tank.
I won't say removal, but
Moving.
moving of it. It's got to be moved from its regular location in order for them to work. 'Cause it's almost up against that wall to where
What
the
about the,
bulkhead's gonna go in.
okay,
Are we had said, I don't know what meeting it was we talked about this, but that it was all right to move the decision-making about the oil tank and what kind of heat we're gonna use and all that. Does that interfere, the fact that we're not dealing with that right now, is that a problem? for what you're talking about with the?
No.
Okay,
It
so
would
we
be
can
more-
still
yeah.
put that off for a little
And
bit.
the thing is, those things will happen after we've got the
Okay,
bulkhead and stuff
I just
all
wanted to
set,
make sure we
because
weren't.
those things are gonna
Yeah.
go out that way now.
Yeah,
And that's gonna be a big help to that whole business.
yeah,
Okay,
and,
so-
and when you feel that that's starting to need to be figured out, don't hesitate to draw those of us who are thinking about the,
I think anytime you can start on it would be
Okay.
good. I don't think we should put it off.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, it can be done, it can
It
be done.
doesn't have to be me, but I was starting out with that, so I don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, I don't think, I think,
Maybe we need to have somebody else go in, have Northborough Oil or somebody go in and move the oil tank
Well,
okay.
before that. Maybe it doesn't have to go in that scope, we just need to see to it it's done so that they can work.
well, you know,
Okay.
isn't there a cap to that, and couldn't we put a stick in it to see how deep the oil is? Isn't there some kind of a cap to the oil tank? That
Well,
would-
if we have
There's a
somebody like
gauge.
Northborough Oil move it, they can take care of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but they should be able to find out how much oil is in there.
And we won't, do we know for certain that that tank is Kapui, or are we still not sure what kind of oil, whether we're gonna have oil?
Well,
or
this is just a
or that?
temporary right now,
Yeah,
to keep it,
so you'd hang on to it?
Right
then?
now, right now,
Okay.
I'd just leave it in the cellar for the present, but
Yeah.
it's gotta be moved so that they can actually build the thing they're
Yeah.
trying to build.
because it's sitting right where we want it to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
The bulkhead.
Yeah.
What about the time frame for Northborough Oil to do this? I mean,
Well, we're still working on the scope of the project for the other thing, but I would say that we would like to see it done sooner,
Anytime, right?
anytime, yeah,
So we can,
yeah.
um,
We can get it done in the course of a month or something, that would be great.
okay.
and
Do you want me to call them?
That would be all right.
now, if we had decided that we weren't gonna use oil, which we have not gone into that discussion yet, then moving it instead of just getting it out of there would end up being a two-step process probably.
Yeah, that's what I
And
was
is that
thinking.
okay? Is that okay to spend the
Well,
extra money?
Since we haven't resolved the issue, then
Yeah.
I guess,
It doesn't seem like it would be a hugely expensive
No,
project, so maybe the extra money that we might end up having to pay is worth having a little more time to think about it. Okay.
Well, it's gonna be much easier to get it out when we wanna get it out, once the bulkhead is,
Yeah.
exactly,
is
Yeah.
built.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right now, it's not easy to get out.
Yeah.
we
yeah.
don't really have an alternative.
No.
So after the bulkhead is when that project
Yeah.
would take
All
place.
that stuff gets a lot easier.
Yeah,
And see, we have to get the scope of work, we should be getting this scope of work fairly soon, because Kristen says it could take over a month to just get everything done, to put out the bids and get
That's
everything
right.
done, so, you know, I figure like a month and a half, just to get someone to do it,
yeah.
because we
Sure
have to
is.
put that out, so,
Yeah,
you know, so here we are in August. If we could probably do it into October, November. Getting, you know, but, so if we figure by November, and by that time, hopefully we had figured out what we want for heat.
Mm-hmm. So November might be a deadline. to
I
do
guess
it.
I would suggest that we try to get that done by the 1st of October.
The-
It would be
that
good.
Oil
is-
tank moved by,
Yeah,
Okay, so oil tank moved, but decision about the heating could come later, is your
Yeah.
point. Okay.
Well, you'd like it to be moved while it's still empty and before we need to fill it up to keep the house heated,
oh,
right?
yeah.
yeah. Very good point.
Yeah, I'm not ready to take the furnace out yet.
Well, cause we don't
Well,
have
if
any
they
options
move
right
it-
now.
Yeah.
If
That's
they
right.
move it, can they fill it?
Hmm?
If they move the tank off the pad, can they fill it?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't see
You'd
why
have to
could-
move the fill pipe or extend it over to where,
Well, it also would have to be, you've also got to have a pad under it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you want to be filling it when we may not even use it.
That's right.
So, you know, we didn't have, a lot of times we didn't have at all, any heat there,
No.
right? So maybe that's the more practical way to deal with it until we know for sure that, what we want to do.
but right now, we just wanna get it
Get it moved.
moved so that we can put the bulkhead in.
Right.
In that wall that's behind
Right.
it.
I think we're almost
um,
taking it a step at a time, because we're not sure where we're going, yeah.
Yeah.
How feasible is it that the bulkhead will be completed this fall, before winter, or
But that's
early
what I'm
winter?
saying, like a month and a half, you know, that's our goal. We should make a goal to get
Our
that
goal is
done.
to get it done before Christmas
Yes,
time.
before Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd say before
But-
Thanksgiving.
We'll see whether we can make
Yeah.
that happen.
And this is the bulkhead we're talking about, right?
Yep. So, I'm just curious, is there, do you wanna assign someone to work on the heat? You know, figuring out what kind of heat we want?
Well, we
We've done a
we
lot
would
of.
like to
started
talk, we
that.
would like to talk to, Tim, Wysocki.
Yeah,
We should probably schedule that, because Janet has already gotten that in.
yeah,
the-
and
in
I've
the
held,
works.
I was told to hold back on that until, to not get into that and get involved with that part yet, back when. And so if somebody says it's time to start
It's time
investigating
to
and talking to
start.
them, okay. Did everybody
So,
agree
right.
that we should
Yeah,
start working on that?
so-
Okay.
So.
Do we need a
Yeah,
motion?
we should be working on that at the same time so that we're making progress on that decision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, so, Janet, would you follow up with Tim?
yes, I will
and,
do that. He
ask
knows
him-
I'm going to, but I had,
That's
I
right.
was waiting, yeah.
And then what would be a good idea for meeting with him as it would be a separate meeting? Do you want him to go to the Bullard House?
The thing about Tim is he does not work with this kind of heat.
No, he's not that
That's
kind of an engineer.
That's not his
Yeah,
specialty.
yeah.
But he's more than happy to work with us on proceeding.
Yeah, on the
But
whole
we'd have to,
concept
we'd have
of
to.
good energy, yeah.
Sure,
yeah.
and once we decide what kind of energy we want to use, we'd have to, and the process of deciding what energy, we'd have to meet with other people besides Tim, just because that isn't his
Yeah,
actual specialty.
he's
Yeah, I
an
wanna talk to
advocate for.
Michael Sawyer too, cause they've got units outside down here, and see what he's doing for heat in the Sawyer house. Cause they may be doing the sort of thing that we're looking at.
Oh, ducting it?
Mm. So I should talk to him and find out what he's
Okay.
doing. And-
Okay.
And
Well, I think Scott
that might,
did the same thing up at Pierce's house. I can't,
at whose house?
Kevin Krzeski.
Oh,
I always think of it as Helen Pierce,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they've got a unit
Yeah.
out there too, so I suspect they did
Oh,
something
okay.
similar.
Is it too early for me to ask who, and I'll write down the names, who some of these key players are that we might want to just have conversation with?
well,
We've done some of that already, but, we've named several names here, and some I know, some I don't know. And is it time to start saying, what do you think about this building? What do you think about?
well, maybe
What would
that's part of what you wanna do is to, seek out people, look it
Yeah.
up, because we don't have all that information
We've
yet.
talked to various companies,
We talked to
Yeah,
but I
Biden,
think that
if
it
I
would be
can
good to
just-
talk to people who actually have.
yes,
installed
I do
it.
too,
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
and
Well,
so.
I'll talk to Michael Sawyer and Scott Hawkins
Is-
just to see what and who they've dealt with.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, is to get a line on who to.
And the reason
Oh,
that
and-
they're good to talk to is,
They demolished.
Well, we know
Because they
that.
have experience.
what do
Yeah.
they do? I mean, I need to
I
have
was
more
by there
information.
yesterday.
Their own
Right, what,
buildings.
Fill in the hole,
um,
yes.
Actually,
have-
Wednesday,
have used
they had the
compressor-
machine
have
there.
used
and they
HVAC.
had it.
Yeah,
Used HVAC,
Yeah.
very good.
It was there on Monday, and then suddenly it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's gone.
No, not
And so
yesterday,
Mike
it was
Scott,
very nice. They were
Mike
filling the
Sawyer.
hole.
Mike
and he-
Sawyer
No,
and
I'm just
Scott
writing,
Hawkins.
they have their first name, Mike Sawyer.
Oh.
And
Scott Hawkins.
and Scott Hawkins. Can you throw any others out right now, or can you?
Well, why don't we find out? I mean, that.
Well, I'm gonna talk to those two and find out who
All
the
right, those two.
contractors were and what
How
kind of a
happy
system they put
are,
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see whether it sounds like something that we're interested in.
Okay.
And
That's a different level
then I'll
from meeting with Tim Wysocki.
turn it to somebody else.
Yeah, but I think it's time for doing it,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
And I can talk to Tim, he knows I'm going to, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you can ask him if he wants to see the Bullet House or whether he just wants to come and talk to us.
Which one, Mike? You mean?
Yeah.
Mike, Tim.
Jim.
Tim.
Yeah, so is it agreed that we wanna meet with Tim Wysocki and offer him a chance to look at the house?
And this time we're looking at the house for what purpose?
The heat, Janet.
Okay, but
see
Tim,
what
you
Mike-
understand that probably these other two guys are more experienced with it, is that what you're telling me?
No, they're not experienced, they just have installed
They,
it in
they
their
have been,
own
okay,
home.
that
okay.
kind of
So,
experience.
so basically, my suggestion, is
I
like we
just
should
need
put
them all on
together,
the phone.
we should put together like a little, list of things that we wanna find out. And that makes it easier for us to ask questions, and they can answer us, and they can make suggestions to us too. So,
And the other thing is, if we do decide not to go with the kind of heat that is not going to be approved by our
Energy.
But we
energy
can
plan.
find out also who their contractors are,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
therefore, those are people we might wanna talk to.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
It's all like, it's
Okay.
just a whole
It's
bunch of
kind
those little things.
spreading out the
Yeah.
little spider web, starting in
Networking
the
the
middle
thing
and
a
working
little.
out, yeah.
So
Figure
Ellie, I
out
have a
what we
question
might do.
for you. You've been working on this project with, with the Mass Save and everything. You and Janet both have been working. Do you want to put together something so that we can ask questions of these people? Just our concerns, our pros and cons of what their heating systems. I'd like something.
I think bringing them in on it is important,
Yeah.
and as in addition to Mike and
Yeah,
whoever.
but that's the only way I can do it is like, what's the pros, what's the cons? What's the benefit
Mhm.
to us, what's the implication for what is gonna happen? And, I really do like the idea of the heat pump, but where do all those
It's duct,
exterior units go?
well, it's
Well, that's
it's
part of that
ducted.
whole thing,
It's
Yeah.
ducted, so there's not the intrusion of a
And-
unit in every room.
Right.
It's.
You're not gonna be able to hide them completely, that's
No.
for sure.
And then we have to consider the fact that once they start working on the parking lot, that cuts a lot of the property
Oh, yeah.
for the Bullard House.
Oh, yeah.
Cuts out a lot of it, so that kind of limits where we can put these things.
Why don't I, in the next 3 or 4 days, put together what I think we've said?
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of, huh? Jeez, we said
Sure.
that. But why don't I do that, just to have something that's
Just to get-
tangible
See,
to
she
work
really does
with.
not want
Yeah.
to stop being clerk, I
Yeah.
know, and that's good, that's fine, go
I-
right ahead.
No,
Fine.
that
No,
has
I'm
nothing to
glad.
do with being clerk. That has to do with the heating. I'm avoiding the
Yes.
clerk line,
But
like
that's
the
good.
plague. But yes.
I'm
thank you.
glad.
Thank you. So if I do that, then we've got something more concrete to either
Yeah.
throw out or add to or whatever.
So we've agreed on 3 things here. One is that Janet will ask Tim to meet with us because he is the energy, he's the
Mhm.
face up for the Energy Committee. And it's not just heat, he may have some other issues that might
Mhm.
benefit us
Mhm.
if we investigated them.
And I think they
And
might
then the second
research
thing
for
we
us, yeah.
agreed on, or we're happy that Barry will talk to Mike Sawyer and to Scott Hawkins, asking them who their contractors were and their experience with the HVAC. And then 3, Ellie and Janet will give us a little narrative about Mass Save and what they told us. And if we have, and questions we might have, we'll come up with some questions based on that narrative.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 3 things we
Yep,
can do
got it.
towards the heat.
And I'm putting on here 3 or 4 days. It should show up in your mailboxes.
Oh, gee.
Well, I gotta do it that way,
Yeah.
because otherwise you just say, oh, I got to do those other things
Yeah,
first.
fine.
This is true.
Okay,
The night before the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be burning the midnight oil, but I don't care.
Do we have any, like, the meeting with Tim, you mentioned maybe not having it a separate meeting, right?
well,
Or have them come to our next meeting
yeah, that would be
Okay.
next month.
September, whatever,
And by then I would have had time to do this other
13th.
research.
would be September 13th.
Mm-hmm.
If it would fit his schedule, it might
Yeah.
not.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
It's a good luck.
And
Good
we-
luck, Omen.
If he wants to meet with us in the early evening or something like that, we could just meet at the Bullard House We don't
Yeah.
have to meet here.
We can have a site visit.
Maybe
and
that's
show 'em
preferable,
around.
actually.
Okay.
Well, as I said, ask him if he wants to see the bullet house or whether
Yeah.
it's irrelevant for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think he'd want to, but anyway.
And he can also, in that first conversation, I could get from him, what does he feel he has to offer us? Because I know it's not always right up somebody's
Yeah,
angle.
we're
Well,
not.
I know that the state is really pushing to get away from fossil fuels,
And there's money.
and there is
There
money.
is money, so.
And that would be really important to find out what Mass Save can offer us. in
I've got it
terms of
somewhere, but I'm not gonna look it up
money,
now.
which, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
they
you've already
were
done
more,
that.
pushing more the insulation factor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's where they said, but then I saw in the paper, was it last week, that they've put a hold on it because that fund has run out?
Oh, really?
Oh.
So-
Oh dear.
yeah.
Rebates too, though, right? Is it the rebates that have run out? Because everybody
Yeah, it was like a
wants them.
75% rebate
Wow.
for the insulation,
Yeah.
Not the units, but the insulation.
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 Mhm.
They're,
Which they really push.
Yeah, they're really pushing the insulation thing, but I think that's where that funding has dried up temporarily, so.
I'll ask about that too.
Yeah. But there should be funding for the unit itself, possibly. Well,
I don't think that there's any funding at all
Okay.
right now. I think
Okay,
that was
got
what
it.
was put on hold.
the whole thing. Okay.
The whole, Mass
Rebate.
Save type projects.
And I don't think the unit
Okay.
is necessarily, has ever necessarily been one of the things.
He didn't talk to us
Yeah.
about that. He
Yeah.
said that it was possible
I think
to
it
use
is.
the duct work currently there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
But he didn't talk to us about, I think that you have to apply for that,
yeah.
Mhm.
but the insulation was kind of a
And there are
a
other
no-brainer.
sources for that too, besides Mass Save.
Yes,
So we
I
can
think there is.
play around with that too.
Yeah, that would be good information
Yeah.
to get.
I'll see what I can find on that. If you need me, I'll be down in the cellar.
Okay, so can we move on from the board house?
Yeah.
All right. And I did agree, backing up a little bit, I did agree to call Northborough Oil and ask about moving the oil
Mhm.
tank. Okay.
So
the
I don't need
next-
to do that, in other
Yeah.
words. That's
So,
okay.
Barry, do you wanna talk about 320 Old Central Street? Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
forgot the old.
On the demolition words, the house a permit for demolition of the house at 320 Central Street came in.
Is
That-
it Old Central or?
Old Central,
Yeah.
320 Old Central Street. And that was, it's more than 75 years old. I have no idea really just how old it was. But it was also the subject of a house fire about 3 years ago and was pretty well burnt out.
Whose house was it?
Well, once upon it was Gould. In latest years, it's been Considine that lived there. It was owned by somebody in Marlboro, but and rented. The Gould family lived there for a long time, but they're kind of a little bit older than you'd remember, and they were my age. Some of them were my age. It's a small house. It was not something of great architectural interest, and being as how it had been basically destroyed by fire, I just signed off on it as
There's nothing worthy of saving.
as anything that it had for virtue was lost by virtue of the fire. So I just signed off to let it go, and it has been torn down since. I'd like to move that we put a vote on our books that the building at 320 Old Central Street is not historically significant.
Okay, so we have a move to declare 320 Old Central Street not historically significant.
And a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No opposition. Okay, unanimously approved.
So that takes care of that one. And of course, as has already been stated, 39 Sawyer Hill Road has come down this week. The other thing that's a significant historic preservation concern is we have a broken timber in the meeting house, the First Parish. It's up at the level, it's in the attic. It's in a location that it's a major timber, goes across, all the way across the building. It's broken, it's pulling apart about an inch. And it's in a location that a whole bunch of different things come together, the big stress point. And one of the things that comes into it is one of the angle braces for the tower. It also helps, in the middle of that beam, it also helps to support the back side of the tower, the side into the building, away from the street. And the engineer that we had in to look at it all has recommended that we close the area so that if the tower falls down, it won't fall on anybody. And so the building is currently not being used, and we've put some fencing up, and we'll put some more to keep people away from it for the present. I will say, we also have had the building inspector in, and I don't think we're in danger of having anything fall down, barring a hurricane or a really horrible, microburst or something. But at the same time, in all caution, we're following the engineer's suggestion. And I'm making it a point to put the fence out and be obvious with it, because we'll probably have to raise money to pay for a fix.
And when you say we, it's not the historical commission, is it?
No.
No.
I'm
It's
talking,
the
this is
church.
from the church.
It's the church.
Yeah.
The church
It's the
hat
ch-
is on when I say we.
Oh, it's the church, okay.
It's just that it's it's a major historic building that is threatened right now, and that the commission should know about it.
Yeah.
At any rate, we're waiting for an engineer's report as to what we need to do about it, and
Wow.
all of that. But just that it's
I thought you did a good job in your summary of it, because I get the,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I sent a letter out for the church people.
yeah,
And I have a shorter version of it that's gonna go on Facebook, on the church's Facebook thing, just to inform the public about it. And,
How did it get discovered? I'm just curious. How did it get discovered? I'm curious about it.
there's some cracked plaster downstairs, and it's a place that's been cracked before. And how long it's really been developing, who knows, but there was noticeable change in the cracks there. And so Jim McNichol went up looking around and found the break. And so then we've been in there with the engineer and the building inspector and so forth, and dealing with it. It's really but the trouble is, it's really involved in the support of the tower,
Right.
as well as holding the sides of the building together. And, it's really a significant thing. And over the years, many changes have taken place that have probably put more stress on it that we didn't realize at the time, when remodelings were done and put the elevator in and some
They
of
say
that.
the elevator shaft probably
Yeah,
didn't
the
help.
elevator didn't help it any. Not that it did anything to that, but it took some of the other things that might help it with its work. It took some of that away, so.
Oh, sure.
And we don't know how long it's been developing either. Could have been developing for a really long time, and we just didn't realize it. But,
So the bell's not in danger or anything? The bell is not in danger?
no, as long as the tower stays there, it isn't. But the bell isn't gonna be swung back and forth for a while, because
Yeah,
that's one of the
that's-
chief things that puts a lot of stress there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Ringing, we can toll the bell, we can keep doing like tolling for deaths and that kind of stuff. You're not moving the bell to do
You're
that.
just moving the clapper.
Yeah, but the other
Swinging the bell.
as far as swinging a bell back and forth as we do normally on Sunday morning, forget it. I pulled the rope up into the attic and said, no, that's over with for a while. Because
good.
that really puts a lot of, 1,000 pounds swinging back and forth, puts a lot of stress on the whole structure up there. So, anyway, that's where that is, and that's what's going on with it, and because the building is such an iconic thing in the town, I mention it here.
So that will be a fundraiser of some sort, probably, a big
Might
one.
be
I
able to
think
get a grant.
probably.
Yeah.
Hmm?
You might be able to get a grant, but it'll take
Might,
longer.
Oh, yeah,
might
yeah.
go
I
for
would think.
CPA thing, it might do some other things, I don't know. But, I mean, a couple of those things have already been mentioned. At any rate, that's my stuff for historic preservation
Okay,
for
thank
this
you.
time.
Okay, so our next.
I should, collection-wise, since I've got the floor.
Yep,
I received in the mail yesterday, a little record book that was from the Merrill Family Association. The Merrill family of Berlin, John D. Merrill's descendants, had a family reunion association for about 30 years in the early 20th century, started in 03, 04. And they met at John Merrill's house in Carterville, 63 Carter Street, and later Alberta Gale and so forth, and Effie Gale. And apparently, most of their meetings were held, if not all of their meetings were held there. They gathered in Berlin every year. And then, I have 30, 35 people, and it's just family association, but it's their record book for 30 years of that reunion, and there's lists of the people that were there and that kind of stuff. It's interesting stuff to go in the collection, and we have so much stuff from the Merrill family. When that house was cleaned out, before it sold out of that family, we got a whole bunch of
the
stuff.
account books.
There's 150 items in the book, but there's all kinds of stuff that we got from there, and so it's kind of it is a family we've got a lot on, so it's kind of nice to have. And it was found in a house in Medford a few years ago, and the man that was, I don't know, on the Medfield Historical Commission glommed onto it, and he's now in Maine, but I had an email about it 2 or 3 years ago, I guess, and he sent copies of that, and I do sort of remember hearing about it at that time, but he's finally sent us the book, and that just came in yesterday.
That's great.
New item, it's kind of interesting, and
And it doesn't take up much space.
no, it doesn't take up much space.
Yeah, we
Yes.
like that.
That's right. We don't have to worry about whether we've got space to take it.
Good. That's good. Did you connect with Mary Lynn Sawyer? It's an email that I.
Not yet. You sent me that email, and that was what, yesterday or something, or the day before.
Yeah,
And
when I
was-
was away, yeah.
I've been out straight enough, so I have not done that yet, but that's on my agenda to go back to that one.
It's just a,
Request for information.
yeah. And apparently Edward Baker was a son of Judge,
Judge Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did pull out the Revolutionary Record
Oh.
book from Esther Whitcomb on the Bolton soldiers, and when I looked at it, she had Esther had listed the children as first couple were born in Bolton, and then she'd listed all the others as born in Maine after they moved to Maine, which most of the others were born in Berlin, in the Berlin records. So I've got to revise the sheet before I send it to her
yeah,
on that, but I've looked it up and started to address it, yeah.
okay. Thank you. Okay, so I've corresponded more with, Lynn,
Woolsey.
well, I think.
It's not her real name, is
it's-
it?
No, that's her email.
Yeah.
Yes, right here.
I have that somewhere. Where did it go?
Well, anyway,
I remember looking, because I looked it up. It was interesting.
I could probably
Um,
find it on my computer.
Lynn, you know, is working, she works for herself, and she's quite busy. Her last email,
This is the lady that would
yeah,
go through look at
The
the clothing
clothing
collection,
collection.
evaluate clothing.
she's asked us a couple of questions, one of which is to let her know how many pieces we have that we would want her to deal with. And
That's the right question.
so we
isn't
have
it?
some work to do.
Yeah.
She said she couldn't work before February anyway, and if she does work with us, she wouldn't be able to work more than 2 days a week until
Mhm.
she had completed what we proposed.
Mm-hmm.
But I explained to her that until we have funding, which wouldn't be until town meeting, then after that, we could figure out a way to.
Yeah, I couldn't find, I know that there was an attachment or a handout at the last town meeting, which I lost. I could find the draft. So the funding available for historic preservation work is 10% of the entire budget. But then there's 65% that's flexible.
Mhm.
So we're not tied to the 10%. It's more what projects come into the committee and what amount of money they're asking for. But we're always working a year behind
Yep.
in the funding. So there was about $590,000 for 2022, so that would be 59,000 for the 10% that would be
Mhm.
allocated or set aside
For
for historic. But then there's another, and this year, when this was printed in May, they hadn't certified that number, but it would be less because the taxes keep going up.
Mhm.
So if you say 300,000 plus 300, that would be 600,000 for 2023, which would be 60,000.
60,000,
More.
and that's more.
More.
So there's a probability that we have about 120,000.
I would think so, but then you also have to look at the
How much the state gives us,
65,000
too.
is also flexible. Now, we won't know for 2024, we won't know the percentage allocation that they're going to pay out until September, and then they pay that in November. And the town piece doesn't get distributed
Figured
until
out.
it's been certified by the state, so that always takes a little bit longer.
So, yeah, well, our projects have used undesignated funds already, before.
Yeah.
Our digital thing was all undesignated money, which
Well,
we
and then we
returned.
turned back the $2,000.
And Article 9 used undesignated funds, I think, too, way back in 21. So, unless there's so it's possible we could get even a little bit more than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't, and you can ask for it, you won't necessarily get all of it.
Right.
Oh,
But you
sure.
can ask for it.
Yep, yep. I just needed some kind of a figure to,
Well, you can have this.
okay,
I don't need
thanks.
to keep that.
So that we had an idea if we could, how many of these other projects besides the Bullard House we were, we could ask
Yeah.
for.
But we would like to get one or more of these other projects into the system.
I think it would
So
be.
that people can see
Yeah.
that there's things other than the
Oh,
bullet
I was
house
gonna
that
say,
would
we
go
need to
after
do
it.
I know.
something other
That's-
than the
That's
bullet
my
house.
thought, for
That's
sure.
right.
Mhm.
That's right.
So,
And
But-
something that the town hall needed that was of a restorational nature or whatever. You know, there's a lot of other, just in the town's bucket, there's other
Absolutely.
assets that could be.
And there
Involved.
definitely should be some kind of grant that you
Yeah.
could go for preservation. So,
okay,
Well, since we're all kind of paying for this through our real estate taxes, I think
Yeah.
we need to utilize it, right?
yeah,
That's
well,
right.
It
especially.
doesn't do any good sitting there in a
Especially
bank account.
our, I mean, we've not asked for money for 2 years, and so.
And now we're starting to spend what we asked for, so I think
Yeah.
that that's
That's right.
actually a good
That's
track
gonna help
record.
us, I think,
Yeah.
with the public, yeah.
so in conjunction with this, I just wanna say, Kristen asked me to do an article on the, what we're doing with the bullet, what the commission is working on. And I think these are the things that I'd like to put in there, submit to her for the town. For the newsletters, it's not gonna be under the Council on Aging anymore, it's gonna be for, town-wide. So this is the information that needs
That
to go in.
Powder House News.
Yep, Powder House News, so I've already started, I've started it, I'm saying like, okay, this is what we've done, this is what we've accomplished this year, and, just all the different things that are going to be accomplished, so that people know that we're working.
Projects in the works.
Yes.
Do you want a copy of that thing I wrote up, that tells all the things that we've done since such and such a time?
I think I have it.
Yeah, because, that might give you ideas too.
Well, I have it, and I think June and I wrote something up, I don't remember exactly, but I do have something, I was looking at it this morning, so yeah, it's,
If you need
Quite
a
a-
copy.
Well, I
Yeah,
think, I
I'll-
think it's important to let people know
it's
about
absolutely.
the CPA money and how that's been used. Because that was,
Sure it is.
that was a question that was directed to me at a town meeting last year.
Yep.
Not this year, but 20,
It's been directed a
23,
few times, yeah,
so
And we can put that in our annual report too.
yeah.
When we do that at the end of the year. I think it's important when there's stuff written about the septic system, that we indicate that the capacity of the existing system was more than adequate, but that we had to do this work to satisfy an additional state regulation.
Yeah.
Because it was no longer a residential use. And
Yeah.
I think it's an important thing to note, because it really was a regulation thing, not something we needed.
Right.
And it was kind of a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't something we had planned.
No, and we had no reason to think so.
It might be good not to say, I don't know why, you guys can correct me and say, no, it's all right to say that. I felt a little funny when you said, that, what was the first thing you said?
Well, that when we write about the septic system, we say that it was adequate in
Hi, Neil.
capacity.
Can I call you
But
back
before you
later?
said it, oh, yes, it was adequate in capacity.
Huh?
Is that something that we want to
Okay, all right.
have people
thanks.
thinking,
Bye-bye.
well, why didn't they work harder to,
well, it depends on how you write it.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
write
so
it-
I
how
was
you
just
write
thinking,
it,
just the
yeah.
way you said it, I thought people might go, oh,
I don't think
what's
that
going
the
on here?
town, as a town board,
Yeah.
that they can be flexible, the Board of Health can be flexible, saying that the town doesn't
yeah.
have to meet the same standards that
Yeah,
everybody else has
yeah.
to meet. They have to be
Yeah, that's the
equitable.
thing to say.
That it was state regulation.
Say it with that, and not the
Yeah.
part about,
And there was a compromise
we didn't really
that was
need to do
made.
this, because then they
Well,
think,
that-
well,
we
what's the
wouldn't-
matter with them?
Well, we wouldn't put that in there anyways,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
we're just, and we're on speaker now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the way to do it is to put it in a positive.
Yes,
And we do have to
exactly.
follow regulations.
Yeah.
As
right.
much as we
Oh,
don't
yes.
like,
Oh, yeah.
that's what it is, we have to follow regulations.
And that's what you were saying too, Barry.
Yeah.
It isn't that I'm trying to make a complaint there.
Right.
But rather that we had reason to think that we were okay without it.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah,
And
That's-
then we
that's
found
the
out there was a
wording.
regulation that
That we couldn't get
affected.
around.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I need to backup from Lucy letting us know that she's putting this together for
Yeah.
Kristen.
Yeah,
For the
okay.
Powder House News.
Yes, all right,
Okay.
sorry, I
That's okay.
digressed.
I just wanted to say that Lynn Bassett is her name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Lynn is going to look in her records for the work she did under CPA funding in Northampton.
Oh, so that we can utilize.
Yes, right.
That would be great.
And,
that's nice.
she's gonna look anyway.
see whether that'll be helpful to us in
Yeah.
making a proposal.
Because
It can't hurt, right?
Yeah.
I told her that there was concern that we use proper preservation language.
Yep.
And I did have a chance, I was talking to Edith yesterday, and I had a chance to talk to her about this.
Good.
And she's in about it, but as she says, well, we got a lot of work to do. I said, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't get any less burdensome,
No.
because the collection keeps growing.
Yeah.
I think if we get a handle on it now, it'll be easier going forward.
She's still got a lot of clothing at her house that we've got to go
Oh,
through and
yay.
decide about too.
And so do the Wheeler.
And,
Slippers.
She said she has managed to get downstairs and work on other things down there, so she may be prepared to do a little of that now too.
And very
She's
seriously.
doing a lot better, but she's still got some
Yeah.
issues, and
Just to take it
Let's-
slow.
When you start working with the collection, make sure that the parts of it that belong to the historical commission that are in our attic also find
that
their way.
entered Edith and I's the discussion that Edith and I had included those
Yeah,
boxes.
and it's not
yes.
that we're in
No,
a
no.
hurry or anything,
No, I
it's
know.
just that don't forget that they're in
No,
there.
we
Yeah.
haven't, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things we'll need to do is get those up there, so if we have this lady or somebody else like her,
We're gonna need more
that
room.
we'll need those things where she can get to them too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I originally expected that when we got the boxes in there, that we'd be able to bring those boxes and put them on top, but now we've got a whole bunch of other boxes on top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We
we're
need
in
a bigger curatorial building.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to make sense out of what we've got too. We need to attack
yeah,
it from both,
yeah.
both.
Make sure that what we're keeping is something we should be keeping.
Right.
Yeah,
And in terms of our attic, our own personal attic, we've been working seriously on that. And so there would be space to spread stuff out just to get the work done.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to tell you that,
Oh,
because
okay.
sometimes you've probably been up there and gone,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah.
how do you even turn around in here? But it's improved a bit.
Who else was doing that? Alma
Mm-hmm,
and you,
And yeah.
yeah, worked on that stuff.
yeah.
And so you and I were talking about that.
Yeah.
And those big dress boxes are now set aside in their own little space up there, so some of
Yeah.
that sorting has been done.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And I think Alma listed all of that stuff.
Yeah, oh.
When they were working on it, Alma
Yeah.
wrote a list of it all that's in the boxes.
Well, yeah, I typed it all.
Yeah.
you know what, I did do some research on this, and it's on accessioning and deaccessioning, which you might wanna take a look at. The interesting thing is, and this is like Tacoma, what do funds acquired from deaccession, where do they go?
Yeah, I remember.
And they go
I did know one of
to,
those.
they go back to
Donors.
the museum collection.
Oh, yeah, well,
Anything that we sell can go back to the museum collection.
Yes. That's a standard in the field.
Oh, you mean the
It doesn't mean it's always
remuneration.
followed. But the point is, if you've got collection materials,
Yeah,
if you decide to deaccession them and take money, you shouldn't take that money then and use that to
buy more.
Buy more, right.
fix the floor and do this and that. It should go back into the collection or go back into adding to the collection or things like that.
Which would make sense, because,
Yeah.
but
But that's a principle, it's not a law, it's a principle in the industry, in the field, that is trying to keep people from using the collection as a way to fund operations.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I've had that experience in another organization, and it's very painful.
Oh,
Yeah. They sell it so they can
Yeah.
buy a building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have to submit a report for each of the articles that CPA has funded. Did everybody read those? I asked you to read them.
Yeah, I did look at them, and I don't,
I've read one.
I think they have well done.
Yeah, I read them
That
too,
was
and I
my
had the
reaction to it.
questions.
Are you all set with those? Okay, so I can turn those in.
Yeah.
And I don't have to make any changes. So
don't
what you
think so.
have, Ellie, if you have to keep it with your records, is still good, I guess. Okay, all right, good. I don't have to do any more work on that. All right. So now, Barry, are you still gonna pursue your conservation of the
Yeah, the
paintings and the
paintings.
photograph?
Yeah.
And Lucy,
Okay, so I have done some research on this, and there's a couple
Okay.
different softwares. One is Catalog It, which seems to be like most of the museums use Catalog It. What they do is that they actually store the information, you know, in the internet, and there's, you know, different pricing, you know, depending on the size of your collection. You know, so like if you have like 50,000 pieces, it could be one price, you know, 250,000 pieces. So I'm not even sure where to begin with that. You know, I figured you have a better handle on how many pieces you have in the, or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
well, it depends on how they're calculated. I mean, with ephemera, it could be millions.
But no, basically what it is, what I was saying is that you have like one grouping. You know, like let's say we have,
Category.
yeah, well, no, it's
No.
like
So
one
if
of
you
those,
have a newspaper collection from
Well, that's a-
1920 to 1950, that's
that's
one
a group.
group.
Okay, so that's a group. So those would be all in one item, but you could specify each one of them individually.
Yeah.
So let's do something maybe a little less big than that. You know, like let's say someone donated some pottery, and you had 5 pieces of pottery. They would all go in as one item, but then they would be subcategory, you know, subs underneath that.
That's really the way that we keep records,
And yeah.
anyway.
So you know, and this is something that I don't know because you know, like you've been doing this, so that's the information that would be useful to find out how many different items they're talking about. I know, but that's just the beginning. I mean, we could, you know, start at one point and then add on later. I mean, it's not something that is cast in stone. But there's 2 different. Catalog It is one, and also Past Perfect. It's like the second best, but it's still pretty high on the list. I'd say maybe it's a little more difficult to use. It seems to be a little less expensive than, you know, like you pay you pay like to update it. You pay to update it, and you can store it yourself, or you can store it on the internet, you know, in the cloud, whatever they want to call it. But there's also for not catalog, but for Past Perfect, we can actually do something that would be available online, very similar to what we're trying to do with the Town of Berlin website. So we could actually kind of link that so people could see it, they could look it up.
And
So
you know,
that-
one other little piece to throw in there is that one of the questions we need to ask is, what do we want to do with this collection? What kinds of display, what kinds of, do we want to, you know, put on programs because that's going to impact what we keep and how we organize it.
Well, that's part of the accessioning, you know, or
Yeah,
the deaccessioning.
Yeah.
But this
So-
this is basically to just record. But the nice thing is
Oh,
that
just to record
This is
everything,
just
whether
to
we
keep
want
a
it or not.
catalog of
Right.
what we have.
exactly.
Okay.
But there's also you have also the ability to deaccession something, and keep a record of what you've deaccessioned.
Yeah. I
If
don't-
it's once into the computer system, then that's gonna be automatic when you deaccession it.
Will we have a discussion about what kind of a collection we want to have? Because if we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of things, to go and look at them all as though they're all of equal value, and we know we're gonna wanna keep all of these, and then we do the accessioning, and we say, well, no, we really can't keep all of these, even though we spent time accessioning and deaccessioning one. I don't know, maybe that isn't what you're supposed to do. Maybe you're supposed to look at every single piece that's donated.
As time goes on,
Yeah, how does that work?
you really want to get, so you make more of those decisions at the time of acquisition, before you spend time documenting and putting it in the collection. Because if you do all of that, and then you're gonna turn around and decide to get rid of it, it feels like wasted time.
Which almost speaks to.
It
Oh, I'm gonna
takes,
cut you off.
it can take like an hour per item to put stuff in the computer. If you're doing the whole thing and you're taking a picture of it, it takes like an hour per item. Now, we don't usually do that. Most of the time, we put groups of things in and we go do each item, but we put in
Last year.
minimal amounts of information about it in order that we get more in. But the facts of the matter are that, you know, it's a huge undertaking, just putting the stuff in the system.
So maybe inventorying without accessioning is
Well-
a step that might be valuable.
Well,
I mean, sometimes you can't, because you can't know how valuable it is until you've studied it. But there are certain things you might say, we have 8 of these, you know,
We're
and then you
really-
don't have to accession
Are
all
we-
of them.
we're really trying now to put the stuff in the system, and we've got almost everything that's come in this year is in the system, unless it's the last month. And pretty much the case for last year and the year before. Just trying to do it so that we're not sliding backwards and having more and more backlog laid up there. But we were also doing some other things from the past and putting them in too. But there's any God's quantity of stuff that's not in the system yet. It's in well, it's like the inventory books that we had scanned.
Yep.
Most of the stuff that's in those is not in the computer system at all. And that's stuff that we acquired up to 50 years ago. And so there's any God's and then there's all the stuff that we got since, that much of which is not in there. So it's an endless task anyway.
Are there things that it would be valuable to just make the decision before you accession them? To
Oh,
say,
yeah.
we don't need this many.
Well, if
we
I
don't.
mean,
That's,
For instance, this
that's-
clothing deal. Now, a lot of that, I want to get numbers onto things that don't have numbers and some of that. But if one of the things we're planning to do is probably deaccession some of it. Chances are I'm not going to put it all in the computer before we do that.
I think that's what I was getting
Well,
at.
isn't that what they do in when we went to West Boylston? Remember we picked up those forms, and they had a form for people to sign when they gave something,
Oh, yeah.
and we had the option of not, or they had the option of not accepting it for various reasons, even before putting it in there. I mean, we could certainly copy that and start. I think that would be what you're talking about, Janet, is not accepting it, you know, prior to. Accessioning it.
Yeah, a lot of our policy is pretty informal.
And our community and the interest that people have in history may also play a role. And, you know, sometimes it's a family. You say, this family was significant in this town.
Yeah.
So let's put more things of theirs in. So, you know, knowing what are the character, the traits that we're looking for.
It's kind of subjective in the final analysis, though.
Yeah,
I mean, you
just-
have your criteria,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the final judgment is.
So get.
It is, but it also can be kind of, things can be counted too, you know, I mean, it can be pretty,
But getting back to the software,
Mhm.
so that we can, because I need to get this done before September 1st, right?
Do you think it's,
We have to do what before September 1st?
I thought you said you wanted, no, November 1st, but I want to get it to you before then so that you can review it at our next meeting.
well, if we wanna go forward with CPA funding, we all need to get this together.
Yeah.
Do you think it's too soon?
I don't know.
I mean, we've have a lot of work to do on the clothing, which answers part of our space problem.
What was the question you just raised? Because I was writing down some notes.
The question is, can we take on the background that she needs, the information that she needs in order for her to write this proposal?
Actually, I don't need an awful lot. What the things that we're gonna need is how many, you've been doing passport, is it possible to print off a couple of those? Do you have a printer that would?
You don't have a printer?
Oh. All right, is there any way that you can?
Do.
Yeah, all of us do, but.
But you could just come over and
But-
print.
Well, but it's on one.
No, it has nothing to do with our software that's on
Okay, you've got to
our-
have it on that
Yeah,
other
yeah.
software.
Okay. Is there any way we can get it off there? I mean,
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
okay.
We had a printer that we could use with that computer at one time.
Yeah.
That got thrown out in the midst of all of our movings. It was passé, but the trouble is, if you get a new one, I don't know if it'll work with that computer.
Well, you know what, we can try, maybe, like I can bring I have a computer that a printer that I'm not using right now, and maybe it would be compatible enough so that we could I would just like to see what it looks like. And, once we decide the type of information, they all have extensive information that you could put in there. So really, all that we need to do is to decide approximately how many different items do you think we have now? And I think that, as I said, if we start with 50,000, just start small, and then you can go further than that. How many do you think you have in the computer now?
Oh, I don't know. And what's in the computer now
Is minor.
is almost minor compared to the total collection.
Okay, so if we went to 100,000, I think that would probably to begin with. But I need to I'll get some more information on this to find out if we can expand it, because you usually can. You can usually start here and then go.
You mean with the past perfect?
Yeah. You just say, okay, now I need 100,000 instead, because it will still be the same software, the same type of input. It won't change. It's just the amount that we're paying for.
Is this the pricing
Space.
structure?
Yep, pricing structure.
So you need to come and look at that.
I just want to look at it real quickly. I could probably do it, I think Wednesday, if you're available.
Does that work for you?
What?
Lucy coming over on Wednesday to look at the past perfect and how?
I would say make it another time. Just because Wednesday, if anybody else comes in on Wednesday, then.
Oh, so you should have a special time.
We forever set something else up to come on Wednesday.
I
and it's
know,
like,
because I was not wanting to burden you.
But for something like this, I think we do it another time.
Okay, well then you two.
It could be, we could do it Wednesday morning or something.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Wednesday morning.
In this month, that's good. After this month, Karen will be back on Wednesday morning.
Yeah,
So we can do
In
it.
September.
Can we do it
We
the
can-
Wednesday
you can-
coming up?
You can come look in there
Okay.
some other day
Okay.
with it.
so next Wednesday, yeah, and,
Just tell me what day you wanna come, and we can probably arrange to do it at 10 o'clock Wednesday morning, and,
Okay, let's do 10 o'clock Wednesday morning.
yeah.
So what day is that? That's,
Today's the 9th.
Hmm?
Today's the 9th.
so it'll be
14th.
the
14th?
The 14th, yeah.
Whatever that date is.
August 14th.
Next Wednesday?
Yep.
My grandmother's birthday.
Hmm?
Oh, very nice. Happy birthday.
Oh, she's been dead for a while.
Yeah, well, anyway,
Still.
still.
And,
And this would also involve
a new,
a new laptop,
yes.
yeah. And that's easier to
Yeah,
investigate
yeah.
than,
And what I would think would be useful is to get a a larger monitor, larger screen,
yeah,
so that you can see it more easily.
yeah. Barry's laptop is big.
Yeah,
My laptop has a larger screen
Yeah,
than the common ones.
yeah. Mine too. I have a
Yeah.
larger screen. So,
okay.
So the things that we'll work with first are things that we're pretty certain, and this is right, this is a question, not a statement, that we're pretty certain, or at least that we think are good chances that we would wanna keep them.
I'm not
And
sure what you mean.
need to think about what you wanna get. If you wanna get one of the problems with a laptop is it can walk off. And if you don't, if it's a desktop and stuff, it's gonna stay where it's supposed to stay.
mhm.
I mean, you just need to think about things like that if you're acquiring stuff. In some ways, it's nice to have it so you can take it around. The other thing is that we have never hooked anything to the internet there, and
Mhm.
We don't have internet.
we don't have internet connections there.
Yeah,
If that's
you
desired,
could
that's
hi-
another thing you're gonna have to undertake and figure out how to do. And pay for.
What, well, that's another whole thing.
Of course.
you might
and-
eventually want to have internet in the bullet house too.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so. I mean,
That's something to think about. We don't have to, but, and then,
To do interactive stuff, you're gonna have to have
Well,
that kind of capacity.
it's kind of like, nowadays, it's kind of like installing a phone,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, you just do it. It's just
Yeah.
part of the package.
yeah,
One of the other things, if you did do it with a laptop, you could also bring it down here and
Exactly.
use the capacity here. Cause, I mean, the town has a significant capacity with a centralized system in
Yeah.
this building. And of course, internet connection here, so that it could be possible that when you need that, you can bring it down here and do stuff.
Isn't there internet at the town hall?
well,
Yeah.
I haven't checked it lately. There have
We-
been times when we thought we could use it and it wasn't functioning.
It has been strange. There was we've had it so we could use it okay at the town hall, and we've had trouble with it at times, and I don't know what the situation, we haven't tried it lately.
Yeah, but it must be Spectrum, so
I believe that
Yeah.
it has to be
Sandra
Spectrum.
thinks it's okay, but we just haven't tried it.
We haven't
lately.
tried it for a long time.
We haven't tried it for a long time.
Yeah.
And of course, the thing that drives me absolutely buggy is having to have a different password or some other damn thing to go use it, and that gets very painful when you're working in different places.
Yeah.
So the other question is, would you want more than one user? Because you can get many users. I don't think I'd want it, but you can get 3, and that would not be a bad idea, to have 3 people who have access to it, with but, I mean, you do have to be careful that you have the correct 3 people, because you don't want anyone making changes.
Well, there is a scatter gather feature on that system where you can take a copy of the system and take it to have it on another computer and work on it that way.
Yeah.
And Marcia was using that for the membership in the society, and ultimately I had to kind of say, let's forget about it, because she maintained that file,
Yeah,
but she was putting people into the file, and we didn't have them, and you gotta constantly come back and put your stuff in.
You have to
Or
resync.
else you start to have conflicting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, you have
And
to
so
sync.
we finally just decided to say, forget it, you keep that as the membership, we'll do this over here and do these.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we weren't really successful in doing that the times that we've tried it, but that is a possibility. I mean, if somebody's is entering information and they can do some of this at home or something,
yeah.
that's fine, but it's got to come back and get into the main system frequently, or it's not gonna work.
You should be able to link to the web, to that. You should be able to link to it, though. If it's on the internet, you should be able to link to it.
That you're
Yeah.
not dependent on
Yeah, I
the
don't-
Yeah,
specific.
and the other thing
PC.
too, in some of the software that I have worked on, is that you can, give privileges to certain users
Mhm.
and not to others.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the
So
things.
people can look it up, but they can't enter anything.
Yes, exactly. And so that would be a real benefit. So these are the things that I wanna find out, about more. And I guess we need to decide, do we want laptops? I mean, see, the thing about it is yes, you can have, if you want a computer, with the, what do they call it, the tower, and a monitor, that's possible. And you can have that in, over at your curatorial building. And there must be some way to connect with Wi-Fi into that building, unless it's, and you should be able to do that. I mean, I don't see why you can't get it in there. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think it can be
Just-
that,
Just need to arrange for it and pay for it.
is it gonna cost that
And
much? I mean, I don't.
Maybe that should be part of your package.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that I would think you'd find that very useful to be able to do that and to have it there. And then if we use laptops, if other users are able to log in with their laptop, like I can log into townofberlin.com and make changes on our small website from my home. I don't have to
Mhm.
come in here.
Mhm.
So I could do that, if I were working on that, if you were working on it, you could do that too. So these are,
Yeah, things to consider and figure out.
okay. So let me find out some more about getting a tower for you, because that might be better. And if you have your laptop, you could actually log in from your laptop too, in other places. Okay, I'm done.
It sounds like we could accommodate, within our own 10%. It sounds like we could accommodate these 3 projects.
I don't, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know that they would pay for the PC or the computer.
I think they did, oh, really?
I don't know. I think we'd have to do some research to look into that.
I think that
Because
you
if you,
can.
if you do the preservation and, we're talking about preservation of
Okay,
the actual,
can you find out?
we might have to go into Stewart, but I don't know that we would be able to buy a computer.
Can you find out?
As I said, I think we'd have to go
Okay.
back and ask Stewart. I know that when they had the
forum.
the town recreation put in for the new soccer field, and they
Yeah.
wanted new goals, and that wasn't allowed.
No.
They would pay for putting in the irrigation and the reseeding, but not the equipment.
Yeah.
So I think that this is another situation where they'd probably pay, we could probably get the software, but I don't think we can get the equipment.
Well,
We
But-
could put it on our shopping list.
yeah, I mean, it's probably not gonna be that expensive. I mean, I think it would be under, it should be under $1,000, and I'm just giving that the higher level.
I don't think that the amount matters, it's
Yeah.
just that I don't think that they'll buy the equipment.
No, I hear you, But I'm saying, like, maybe we could just buy it out of other funds.
Well, we don't have any, we have our donation account.
But anyways, let's come, if we can find out that answer, that would be good, and then we can
Well,
go
the
from
thing we
there.
need to find out is what could be fundable under that.
Yeah.
Then you worry about the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want me to do that, or would you be, you're able to do that, right, for CPA, to find out if CPA can fund that?
Well, I think it's sending an email to Stuart
Okay.
Saganor, who's kind of the guru.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will you do that, Ellie? Is that what we're saying?
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can try to do that.
Yeah.
And just let us know.
Yeah,
We need to keep you out of trouble anyway.
you know, Maureen, I don't know if she understands the issues that we wanna fund, but she might be able to,
Maureen,
Well, she's just the secretary. She's
Yeah.
not really the, she's not the expert on it.
no, I know that. She's the administrative,
the
Yeah,
administrator of
yeah,
CPA.
Yeah, she's a, I call her secretary, but the administrative assistant
yep,
to help, you know. She sets up the Zoom calls and things like that. And
Yeah.
she writes up the minutes.
and she's drafted some forms too, hasn't she? Or did you guys do that?
Well, she drafted the forms based on stuff that was available from other towns.
Okay. All right, so
So I guess we should find out if they can fund the software too.
yeah.
Are we done?
I am.
Yeah, I hope I can get, it's Historic Northampton that used CPA funds for their
Their
collection.
collection.
Yeah, for this lady's services. So, hopefully she'll find that and we can use it as a model. What do you call equipment? There's a
Hardware.
Hardware.
hardware, sure, but in the funding vocabulary,
Vernacular, yeah.
there's a word for asking for stuff,
Material. things.
material, yeah, physical, but I can't think of what it is now. Anyway. Okay, so unless there's any other business, then we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Yay.
I never do these second.
Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What time is it?